stop, listen, and ask yourself, have you ever pondered at the idea that there may be something to the other side? If so, and you're hearing my voice for the first time, then you may have just fallen into the void.
This is Sarah from Texas, and I'm falling with G-Man into the void.
Well, hey there, hello there, bats and ghouls, and welcome to another episode of Into the Void, the podcast that talks about anything and everything paranormal. I am your ghost host with the most G-Man, bringing you the latest things that go bump in the night, real ghostly encounters, Halloween events, and Halloween-related news. As always, it is wonderful to be back here at Undercity Comics in beautiful Whittier, California. Bats and ghouls, do I have a magical episode for you? Joining me today is a woman who made a big announcement that not only shocked many of her followers on TikTok, but it has opened the gate for many questions that I and my co-host will have the pleasure of asking on this episode. But before I give too much away, I believe it's time to do what I love to do, and that is give a big shout out to Your Average Witch. Join host Kim Kowalski as she interviews other witches from around the world. Your Average Witch is a podcast that allows other witches to feel free and comfortable about sharing their passion behind their craft. Your Average Witch is dedicated to talking about witch life, witch stories, and even a little witchcraft. You can find Your Average Witch on Spotify and many other podcast platforms. Or for all episodes and more, just visit YourAverageWitchPodcast.com. That's YourAverageWitchPodcast.com. And of course, what kind of podcast would this be without a word from our sponsor for this episode? That's not going to work. No, that's not working either. No, it's not. Nope, that's not going. Nope. How about this? No, that's it.
Master,
I'm not going.
Master, what seems to be the problem?
Well, Igor, if you must know, I cannot find a single thing to wear, and I am taking the missus out tonight.
Well, Master, why don't you head on over to lovepaintandstitches.com?
What is this Love, Paint, and Stitches?
Love Paint and Stitches creates and designs unique handbags for the macabre lifestyle. Their handcrafted bags are made with quality materials and perhaps a hint of magic. You can complete your ensemble with the Bride of the Monster crossbody bag from the Vixen collection designed by Michelin Pitt. Or perhaps you prefer a lovely green or purple glitter pumpkin shoulder bag from their Trick or Trash collection. Only the most top quality bags found in the dumpster can complete the gray banshee look you seek. Love Paint and Stitches. Be sure to visit their website, lovepaintandstitches.com, to find the perfect handbag to suit your individual taste. And don't forget to browse their accessories for keychains, pins, and stickers. I love stickers. Love Paint and Stitches. Find them at lovepaintandstitches.com and follow them on Instagram at lovepaintandstitches.
Welcome back, bats and ghouls, to what I believe is a real Halloween treat of an episode. I believe it's time I bring out my co-host for this episode. Now, you heard him here on the show numerous times and has a podcast of his own. When he's not working behind the counter here at Undercity Comics, then he's manning the soundboard and winning the hearts of many listeners. Bats and ghouls, please welcome a man who not only presses record, but is also one of the hosts of Keeping Up with the Nerds Variety Hour. Bats and ghouls, please welcome Mr. Rene, I can do this all day, Bravo. Hey, Rene, it's always good to have you on the show.
I'm always happy to be here. I'm always happy because you always I love whenever I want to feel like talking about spooky things, this show's great to do it on.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. No thank you. It's always a blast to have you on the show.
Yes.
Like I said, I think I mentioned before, we missed you. I know you were gone for a while doing your own thing with your own podcast, which is a great podcast, by the way.
Thank you so much.
I love listening to every episode. You guys have such knowledge with movies and comic books and memorabilia. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I got to ask you this question.
Yes.
Because you know that it's October.
It is, yeah.
And it's almost Halloween. So Are you excited for Halloween this year?
I actually am. I'm doing this year. I didn't do it last year because I tried like halfway through and I just stopped. I'm trying to watch a horror movie each day for the month of October.
Nice.
So I'm trying to make it to where I watch a new horror movie. But lately I don't have time, so I'll just like throw on a movie that's like, okay, I haven't seen this in a while.
Okay.
So that's what I've been doing.
Nice. I just, it's not a horror film, but I just recently watched the Frankenstein movie that was starring the actor who played Professor Xavier.
What is it?
Oh gosh, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. James McAvoy.
Yeah.
And I almost said Rupert, but that's not right. He played Harry Potter.
That's Daniel Radcliffe.
Yes, Daniel Radcliffe. They both were in a movie called Frankenstein.
Is it Victor Frankenstein? Because I think it was.
It may be Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah, because it's more about Frankenstein and Igor.
Yeah. And they're the way they interacted with each other and the way how they met and everything was beyond anything I had imagined. So really well done movie. Great Halloween film to watch.
I might watch that.
Yeah, it was fun. So let's talk about something here. Your podcast, you guys talk about a lot about, nerdy things. But there's something that happened to you. Now, I know you're going to talk about this on your podcast. So maybe you can give our Bats and Ghouls a little bit of a teaser. But you recently went to Disneyland.
I did. I recently went to Disneyland for the first time in a while because the last time I went, it was a year before Star Wars Land was going to open up. So this was the year, and then now it's open again since the pandemic and stuff. So I decided to go there, but I was lucky and had the great fortune of having a customer that works at Disneyland giving me their cast member passes to go.
Nice.
So I didn't have to pay to go in, which was good. It was fun. I'm happy about that because that's the one thing that makes me discouraged about going to Disneyland. It's just paying so much money to go, the prices just keep going up. But I was happy to go. We had a great time, and then I did the one thing that I've been wanting to do since they opened up Star Wars Land was build a lightsaber.
I am so jealous. And Bats and Ghouls, I just want to say here, when I came into the studio today, and Rene just so happened to bring the lightsaber that he put together, and I got to hold it, and I got to say, the chills, the tingles that go through you, the force was definitely coming out.
It was fun, definitely fun. They make a whole good, really fun experience from it as well too, and they make you give it. There's like 4 different themes you get to choose from for lightsabers. So one's like the Jedi, one's kind of like a earthy kind of elemental vibe. One's about the Sith, and the other one's like kind of like the Old Republic.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so it's all cool. So I had a chance to do it. They make a good like a show out of it. You have like a lot of things. They mention a lot of different kyber crystals, and you have.
Well, let's not mention too much though, because I know you're going to be talking about it on your podcast.
It was definitely an experience, and definitely worth the money I had to pay to go through it and stuff. So,
but it was worth it.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Wonderful. Well, speaking of Disneyland, it is Halloween time at Disneyland. And the Halloween is my favorite time of year. As many of you know, Halloween is my favorite time of year. And as much as I enjoy the sweet, free candy that is given out each year, I have an even deeper love for this spooky holiday. All Hallows Eve is not just a night of spooks and thrills, but also a time when mystery and magic come together. Join us, Bats and Ghouls, as we welcome a guest who defies the mystery of Halloween, all while providing a special treat along the way. Our guest for this episode is a singer, a self-proclaimed full-time witch, has a degree in history, and is the co-owner of a wonderful shop known as the Ghoulish Garb. Ooh. With over 160 followers on YouTube and more than 60,000 followers on TikTok. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
That's insane.
That's awesome.
I think I have like 84.
I only have 150.
Oh my gosh. We need to figure out this algorithm.
Yes, it's a tricky algorithm to figure out is TikTok.
Absolutely. Well, Bats and Ghouls, without further ado, it's time to grab your crystals and light some sage as we fall into the void and welcome the one, the only, Miss Shanna Stoker.
Hello.
Hi, Shanna. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Shanna, this is a pleasure,
Yes.
an honor, and a treat to have you on the show. And as you know, this is a paranormal podcast, so we'll be getting into your own paranormal encounter an encounter with the paranormal. But before we do, Shanna, let's have our bats and ghouls get to know you.
All right, great.
This is going to be so much fun. I'm shaking over here right now because I'm just like,
He is,
and I say this because I'm a huge TikTok fan. I love your TikTok. I love what you have to talk about, and we're going to get into what you're going to share here. But the fact that it's that, you know what it is, Rene? It's when you get to watch somebody on TikTok and you get to watch them grow and become more known.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, now they're on your podcast.
Yes.
You know, it is such an exciting feeling. Well, Shanna, let's get into this. On August 6th of this year, you posted a very special TikTok in which you told your followers a little bit about who you are and why your last name was so familiar. So could you please share with us why that is?
Absolutely. So, of course, my name is Shanna Stoker, and I am related to Bram Stoker, who wrote Dracula.
What? Right?
Crazy. Wow.
I'm still in shock about this.
That's amazing.
In a recent interview, you had mentioned that you discovered by the second grade that you were related to Bram Stoker. So give us walk us through the feeling that came over you, like that moment of when you came across this discovery.
Absolutely. So, I had heard about this. I'd heard about him my whole life because it's something my family's very proud of. And we talk about him just like any other family member in a way. So I didn't fully understand the gravity of who he was and the importance of this lineage until I was in the third or second grade. And I had just basically I just found out, about the fact that that the Black Plague was supposedly what inspired Ring Around the Rosie. So I wanted to write a horror story about it, and I was writing this story around my grandparents on the Stoker side of the family. And they were so excited. They said, you're going to, fulfill the family name and bring it forward and bring it into the new millennia and everything.
Wonderful.
And it was that was kind of when they talked to me about that and made it a little bit more clear about how he didn't just write a story, a Dracula. I was used to seeing a million different types of Dracula stories. I thought he had just kind of written, one of them, or that's cool, really nice. We got a writer in the family. But no, when they fully explained that he wrote the Dracula. I mean, he was the beginning of so many different cultural shifts with the macabre and with Gothic literature and in general. I mean, just what we know as Goth culture now has so much to do with what he started. And for me, I was a kind of strange kid. I've always been a really kind and bubbly person. On the surface, you might think I was just a normal little girl, but I always had these interests and this affinity for macabre culture and really strange, weird history and dark imagery. I loved, spooky or scary stories to tell in the dark. I tried to find anything I could find in the library about just grim fairy tales that were really creepy, or anything that I could that was appropriate for a child to look at. And and it's just, I always kind of felt a little strange. None of my friends were interested in those types of things. I was always really obsessed with Halloween and always felt very sad when it was over, in a way that it wasn't just about candy or costumes. It was something more that I couldn't put my finger on. And I always kind of felt I don't know why, but I know it's here. I don't know why I'm like this, but I know it's true to who I am. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when adults are telling you or asking, are you okay? Because you're reading creepy stories and talking about them openly, you start to wonder if you are okay. And in the second grade, I remember hearing this and thinking, oh, that makes so much sense. I am exactly who I'm supposed to be. It's okay that the rest of the world isn't as creepy and weird as me, because it's kind of cool and unique that I am, because I get it from the family.
Absolutely. It's okay to be different.
Literally in your blood.
Oh, yes. And it taught me that from such a young age. It really helped me realize I don't have to hide this part of myself. I can embrace it and I can enjoy it. And I can, I can decide what's cool for me and what I enjoy, and it doesn't have to fit societal standards. And that's a lot to think about in second grade. But like I really was, well, my mother's always said I've been an old soul since I was an infant, and I would talk to her about these things. And a lot of times she would say, why, who's talking to you about this stuff? Or why are you thinking about that? And I don't know. I was just always in my head. And I'm very observant, I'm observant of behavior. I'm not observant of like space and things that are, if you move something, I'm not going to see it, but I'm very, very observant of human behavior. I always have been. And I've always tried to be observant of myself as well, because I came from just kind of a traumatic childhood, and I had to be very aware of myself. And it really, knowing that he was my ancestor, knowing that what he did and how he impacted the very culture that I was consuming, that was told, I was told was strange and odd and weird, just made me feel like, okay, I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be, and nobody else can take that from me,
Yeah. I like that feeling, knowing that like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. And something I've noticed too is that like anyone that experiences trauma in their life, they tend to find their meaning later on in life, and, and then all of a sudden it's like, that's what they're destined to do, Yeah. It's amazing. I think it's wonderful. So
thank you.
Now you had mentioned in a TikTok announcement that you also mentioned that you and a partner celebrated 3 years of a co-owned store called the Ghoulish Garb. And it was because of this that you felt it was time to announce your relation to Bram Stoker. So how hard was it to keep this a secret?
Honestly, it wasn't hard for me at all, because not many people in my life, in my everyday life, really knew it. Whenever I came out on the August 6th with that video, when I posted it on my Facebook, which is mainly just friends and family. I say that, I've got a lot of friends on there who I've met through Facebook, but all of my friends and family who've known me in my regular life, that's how I keep up with them, is on Facebook. And so I posted it, and so many people who've known me for so long were so completely surprised. Like, how did I not know this? And it's not something I just go and talk about often. Whenever we first came out with the business in 2018, I was urged by the people who did know, such as my family on both sides, and, a couple of friends that I'd talk to about this whenever it might come up in conversation when we're talking about things like that. I don't know. And, they urged me to, you've got to make this a part of your business, a part of your brand. It would totally help you find reach and get interviews and get your brand going and everything. And, I really genuinely thought about it for a moment, but it just didn't feel right. And I could not put my finger on it, but I knew I needed to listen to that intuition. And, I would understand later. I know when I feel those things, I know that I'm going to understand later. I might not understand now, but I need to listen. And so that's what I did. And I understood later. It's because I wanted to make sure that our business, our brand, our customer service, our products could all stand on their own 2 feet, without the help of the name recognition. And without people knowing, like, I never signed anything with my last name. Whenever I would do correspondence with people or like customers, I contact every customer on Etsy and eBay after they order something and say, thank you so much. Here's when it will arrive, that kind of thing. Yeah. And I always just kind of put Shanna or just Shanna S. Okay. And I just really, it wasn't hard for me, because even though I'm so incredibly proud of my lineage, it's something for me that's like more intimate, I guess, more of like, he's given me a huge piece of my understanding of who I am. And it just kind of feels like my normal family relationships, right? I don't just go around telling everybody about, oh yeah, my uncle is this guy or my sister is this person. And it's just in the same way, even though I know the significance is totally different, in that same way, that's kind of how I personally feel about it. So it wasn't really difficult. What changed? I don't know. I think it was our 3rd anniversary. Just finally was like, I'm trying to working on TikTok. I'm working on building my brand. I'm working on building myself as the personality of the brand. And I'm finally ready to do that and like do it full force. And I'm ready to talk about this. I'm ready to like, you know, get the conversation going, but also make sure that that people are very aware. I'm a spooky entrepreneur in my own right and a creator in my own right. But that is very much because of his influence in my life and in my family.
I like that too, that you didn't just say, oh, look at me, I'm related to Bram Stoker, so you should go check out my store. You took the time to say, look, this is what I'm doing first. This is the brand that we have created for this store. And you wanted people to really focus on that. And that is a very smart move, especially in the business world.
Thank you. And, you know, a lot of people thought it was not smart because it was like, but you could get so much bigger, so much faster if you just went ahead and did this. And I'm like, it's not about getting big fast. It's about longevity and it's about quality and it's about making sure that I'm creating actual relationships with the customer service or with the customers and with the community, you know, and not as a personality based on name recognition, but as an entrepreneur, as a person that they go to with questions on tarot, with questions on, you know, products, with questions on witchcraft. And it's, I feel like I finally really hit that mark of making myself that person. And now it's like, okay, let's open the gates.
I was going to say, the same thing happened with, I believe, Stephen King's son, where he wanted to be a writer himself, but he changed his name to Joe Hill. And he's a comic book writer actually now, and he became a big thing. He wrote a great series called Lock and Key that's on Netflix now.
Oh yeah.
And basically, and then after he became, you know, well known on his own, he opened up and said, yeah, well, Stephen King's my dad and stuff like that. He writes dark stories too. And
I had no idea. I never would have guessed.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I see what you mean when, you know, you wanted to build your own brand, you know, off your own way and stuff like that, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's absolutely amazing. I love the fact that like you have those authors that change their names because they know that, you know, their father or their mother is a big time writer and they don't want to just use that as a platform to get started. They want to really put in the work. I love that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I feel the same way about this show too. Starting from the bottom and working our way up to the top, you know. I don't have anybody famous on my side, but at the same time, I know what it means though. And I understand what it means to you know, be able to put in the work. I love that.
Yeah.
So before
fun. It's very rewarding.
I'm so sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
So I'm like very excited today.
Yes, you are.
I am too. I'm so excited, and you guys sound wonderful. I'm having a great time already.
Yay!
Thank you.
So before we move on to some questions, I have more about your store, the Ghoulish Garb. I have two more questions I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
If Bram Stoker were here today, what is a comment that you would give him? And what is one burning question you would like to ask him?
Ooh.
That's such a good, oh man, those are great questions. Honestly, the first thing I thought about this earlier, if he were here, you know, I think we'd have a really beautiful familial discussion. I would love to just talk to him about his life. I'd love to, but the comment I would say is just, thank you for giving me the courage to be exactly who I am. Thank you for, you know, setting that path in motion to allow so many people, not just myself, to delve into the beauty within the darkness and really appreciate that side of life. And I mean, he was such an important part of starting that side of culture. And that would be my thing, is just thank you for what you've done, because I love the community that I'm a part of. That is because of what he's done and because of his work. So that would be my comment. My burning question. Oh, I would ask him if he had any interest or had ever dabbled in the occult. Because I'm a practicing witch. My uncle is a witch. I would love to talk to him about that.
Probably, I think it would be like secretly, because I think back in that time,
right? Because
yeah, they would have.
Well, and the thing is, spiritualism was a little bit after him, right? But it was like that was it could have been not after him, but after whatever he was writing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just wonder if he'd ever dabbled, or how much of the research that was really more hands-on, for the stories that he wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wonderful answers, by the way.
Thank you.
Well, Shanna, I got to say, this has been wonderful. And so far, I do have many more questions to ask you. But before I do, it is time for a word from our sponsor for this episode. Well, hey there, Bats and Ghouls. G-Man here. You know, when I'm looking to accessorize my Halloween attire, I go to lovepaintandstitches.com. Love Paint and Stitches. They bring you the thriftiest and spookiest handbags, purses, and accessories. Love Paint and Stitches is a mom and son team dedicated to designing and creating unique bags for the macabre lifestyle and for the spooky at heart since 2013. They offer customer handcrafted bags made with quality material and just a pinch of magic. The Love Paint and Stitches team strives to be creative with their designs and consistently work on making new and uniquely different bags that any Halloween lover could fall in love with. Love Paint and Stitches is a truly magical and devoted to their craft and continue to bring the night ablaze with their Vixen, Trick or Trash, and Pumpkin Cult collections. Visit lovepaintandstitches.com to find the perfect bag to suit your individual taste. And don't forget to browse their accessories for keychains, pins, and stickers. Also, you can follow them on Instagram at Love Paint and Stitches. Welcome back, Bats and Ghouls. I'm here with my co-host for this episode, Rene, and we are on the phone with the lovely and talented Miss Shanna Stoker. So, Shanna, let's talk about your co-owned store, the Ghoulish Garb. Where did this name originate from?
Well, our first name was actually Psychopomp Apparel. And I love that name. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's definitely
really
not
good name.
the only reason we switched that name was because there was another company called Psychopomp Clothing, I think, or it wasn't a company, but I think they were artists and they also sold their art on shirts. And they didn't have a lot, but of course they reached out and did the whole cease and desist thing. And we were like, yeah, we understand. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Because we looked up Psychopomp Apparel and stuff, but like Psychopomp Clothing didn't come up. And so, but that was our warning. And honestly, I'm really glad it happened because as cool as Psychopomp Apparel sounds, it's not indicative of our brand anymore. It's just not where we ended up. And the Ghoulish Garb, we were trying to name it again, like figure out what the new name would be. And I love alliteration. If you look at our, well, not anymore, but our website used to have a ton of alliteration. I don't know. That's how I write. I love alliteration. I find it funny. It's kind of like puns for me. I just freaking love them. I just really love to play with words like that. And so I don't know. I wanted something that conveyed obviously clothing, and also because that was what we started with, was just t-shirts. And then now we have t-shirts and hoodies and a bunch of different types of clothing, but we also have tapestries and phone cases and posters and lots of different types of things. We have tarot decks now that we have created and designed from scratch that are all of our art. And so the Ghoulish Garb, though, the ghoulish is the most important part. So we do try to focus on all things celebrating, creating new designs that celebrate witchcraft and the macabre and Halloween and spooky season, but all year round.
I love that. Yeah, all year round.
Yeah, I'm looking at your website.
Yeah, because it's basically, I would go to Etsy if you want to look at our stuff, etsy.com/shop/the Ghoulish Garb. Okay. And but yeah, basically it's just everything that makes me. Well, not everything. I'm also a singer and actress and stuff, and that stuff isn't here, but all the witchcraft and spooky stuff, which is ever present in my personality, in my decor, my home, in what I read and watch and talk about, and the practice of witchcraft that I do on a daily basis. And so it's a pleasure to be able to create artwork for the community who also lives in that spooky world where I do.
That's so wonderful. And I wanted to actually bring something up real quick here before we get right back into the Ghoulish Garb. You mentioned that you are a singer. And before I even came into the studio and long before we even talked, I was doing my research about you. And I came across your YouTube channel, which, Rene, if you get a chance, check out her YouTube channel. Yeah. She's got amazing singing with as Aurora from Disney.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, wow.
It is wonderful, dude.
That's
I mean, just
cool.
like spot on. It's literally, I have this thing where when I watch singers, like if I get chills, that just tells me how good of a singer they are. And hearing her sing the song, I want to say it was Someday My Prince Will Come. I want to say it. I could be wrong.
No, that's Snow White. But yes,
it was okay. So that is Snow White. Oh gosh, I can't think of it right now. But
I know I sang it and I'm having trouble.
Is it Once Upon a Dream?
Yes, that's it.
That's okay. Once Upon a Dream. You've got to hear the way she sings this.
Definitely.
I mean, we're talking spot on. It brought chills, seriously. But one of the other videos that I saw that I'm a huge fan of the singer. I wish I can give you the name right now. I should have looked him up earlier. I do apologize. But Shanna sings Minnie the Moocher. And it was so
Cab
good.
Calloway.
Yeah, there we go, Cab Calloway.
Okay.
That was so much fun to watch. She got the audience involved in everything.
Song.
Yeah, it was great. It was wonderful. So I know we're veering off here. I had to bring that up because we had mentioned you are a singer, and you have such a great voice. And I encourage all my bats and ghouls to please check out your YouTube channel because the singing is just phenomenal.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
So Shanna, something you and I have in common. When last time we had talked, when we first talked before about coming onto the show, you and I both actually have something very in common, which is our love for Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, so very much.
Such a wonderful town. There was an episode we were supposed to do actually where I was supposed to talk about my adventure in Salem because I finally got to go and we didn't get to do it. But the reason I bring this up is because I was wondering do you think you'll be opening up a shop in Salem in the near future?
I wouldn't say the near future, but let me tell you, it is absolutely a goal of mine to one day have a shop, a physical space that's not just a place to come and look at our merch and everything, but also a place where there's a cozy corner to sit down and maybe talk to somebody about tarot or read a book, or it's a safe place. There's calming feeling there, and we might have classes on the weekends on tarot reading or on how to make your own herb candle or spell candle or that kind of thing. And I'd love to just create a space where the community can convene and can find, that niche within a niche type of thing that's just a very comforting place. And I've got this idea. I've had it for years. I've had this feeling of just like, I'm going to have this place one day and it's going to be more than just a retail space. It's going to be kind of a little safe haven, it's going to be a full experience. And I really, really am excited to make that come to fruition one day. It will not be in the near future.
but that would be fun. But
hopefully
it's a goal.
Hopefully it will come. It will come someday,
That'd be really
someday
cool.
My shop will come.
There we go. You know what? That might be another song that you can just perform and then we'll just blow it up on YouTube.
That song just paid.
Yeah, that's it.
My shop will come. That's a heck of a title. Top 10 billboard right there.
Right there, yeah. I can see it already.
Could you imagine?
That'd be awesome.
Today on the top 10 Billboard songs, Someday My Shop Will Come has reached from number 5 to number 3. So as I mentioned when we introduced you onto the show, you have a degree in one of my favorite subjects, which is history.
Yes.
In what ways did that help you with the Ghoulish Garb and your practice with witchcraft?
So, the history degree is just essentially a lot of research and writing.
Oh, yes, I can agree to that for sure.
Yeah. And so, that has directly influenced the way that I go about designing our tarot cards. So my business partner and I, whenever we go to design a card, we go ahead first and we determine, okay, like for instance, we're working on a new goddess tarot deck that's it's going to incorporate goddesses from different pantheons around the world.
Whoa.
And we're almost done with the major arcana. We're going to actually have that. We're planning to have the major arcana deck released at the end of next year. And then we're going to go back and work on minor arcanas for our decks. But we've been very much in experimental phases of like, do people want this? Will they like our art? And they very much have, which we're so grateful for. But that's why, just to answer a question that will inevitably come from people who look at our store, that's why we don't have minor arcana yet. Anyway, but going back to it, the way that we do a design is we sit down and we look at the cards. We will, for instance, list all of the major arcana out, and then a myriad of characters, or in this case, goddesses, that we want to incorporate in the deck. And then we go through and we went and did research on each of these goddesses, not only first we researched goddesses that were popular. So we tried to find goddesses that are being searched for in Google, and trying to look at like chat rooms and different things like that, talking to my witch friends, reading books, and just trying to figure out, okay, what are the best goddesses that we can, not the best goddesses, but what are some of the most popular goddesses that a lot of people who are going to visit our store might work with and want to see art representing them. And also, what are some goddesses from some less represented cultures? Like we have Yamaya from the Yoruba culture, and we have Isis and Bastet from the Egyptian culture. And so like, we really tried to do our research there first. And then once we had our list of names, we did research on each individual goddess, on their stories, just the mythos in general, what colors and animals and characteristics are associated with them. What do they look like? What are they? And then from there, because we know the tarot, we go through each of the tarot cards and look at the story we're telling there and say, okay, which goddess and her characteristics and everything we've learned about her fits well with this card. Now that we have all of those listed, once we get that figured out, then we go back through individually and we do even more research.
Wow.
And so it's just so much research. And that's why it takes so long for us to get these cards out, because we are very much, in this sense, we are perfectionists, and we are about quality over quantity.
Okay.
And we do have a great quantity of stuff in our store, because of the fact that every design that we have on a tarot card is also available in everything we sell: phone cases, tapestries, blankets, etc.
Okay.
And
I've seen that.
So we have a great, and usually there's different versions of that card. But when we do these designs, it can take us anywhere, but it usually takes about 3 to 4 weeks per design through the entire process.
Wow. Okay.
Because my partner and I are not inclined when it comes to actual like artistry, like putting it on the paper or on the computer. I wish I was, but I'm not. I'm a singer. I'm not an artist in that way, but I'm a very, very visual person. I can see exactly what I want in my head. And then what I do, once we have all of that figured out, my partner and I go back through all of our notes, all of our research, everything that we've decided. And I write in extreme detail a document saying, okay, this is what we want for this card. This is the feeling of the card. Here's the color scheme. Here's the angle of her head. We want her toe in this position. Behind her is this. And it's going to look just like that. It's just, everything is completely detailed, because we wanted to make sure, since we were using a third-party artist, that it still was 100% our art, and not, that we weren't going to be, gypping someone for their work or their creativity,
Right. Yeah.
And we've got a wonderful relationship with our artist. He's incredible. I love him so much. We've been working with him for years now. And, but he works well with all of the incredibly detailed descriptions that I give him. And so our process, after we've done the research, so that takes days or a while, and then we've determined, what the card's going to look like. That takes a while. And then I contact my our artist. He sends us a sketch after a few days. We revise the sketch with notes and send that back. He gives us another example of the sketch. We send notes on that again. He gives us a final, and we send notes on that again. So it's a very long process of revision, of tweaking, of, her eye needs to come down about 30%, or it's just things like that. It's just it's a lot of detail work, and I love it. And I think because of my history degree, because of the amount of detail that I had to do with my research and my writing, that absolutely prepared me for this part of my job. And I love it. I find so much joy in it.
I can definitely hear the joy. That's for sure. Yes. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Rene, I'm looking at you because I thought you had a question.
No, I'm good. No.
So, oh my gosh, that's wow. Okay, so you guys are definitely very detail oriented when it comes to these cards. They are, by the way, looking at the website, they are, the package that it comes in. I mean, attention to detail. Beautiful
Thank
stuff.
you.
Really beautiful stuff. So this is pretty much a yes or no question, and then I have a follow-up question to it. Now, we had talked about how you practice witchcraft. Are you a self-proclaimed witch?
I am, yes.
Okay. So what would you say is the most common misconception about witches today?
That all witches are Wiccan.
Ah, interesting.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Yes. Yeah. That's the question or not even question. That is the assumption that I come across the most, that I have to just kindly, very gently and kindly, because it doesn't offend me or anything, but I just always say, actually, I'm not Wiccan. And it's kind of one of those things where, every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Every Wiccan is a witch, but every witch is not a Wiccan. So, for instance, my uncle, who taught me about witchcraft in the first place, he is he actually converted to Judaism. And so he practices witchcraft along with his Jewish tradition as well. And we come from, we do have some Jewish heritage. So, but we grew up Christian, both of us. And so I have friends who are Christian witches. I have friends who are satanic witches. I have friends who are more atheist and just simply focus on the energies of the secular world, more of that kind of thing. And I personally am not, I'm not a part of any particular religion, but I am incredibly spiritual in the way that I grew up Christian. And for me, I was very, very spiritual, and I grew up Christian by choice. I mean, my family was, yes, Christian in the way that they called themselves Christian, but I started going to church by myself when I was 11.
Wow. Okay.
And then I slowly got my family to start going with me because I was just performing all the time and they wanted to see me. But I've always been drawn to trying to understand the spirit. And for me, the way that I grew up in Christianity also plays a part in my witchcraft, even though I'm not a Christian anymore, because the relationship I formed with God, even though I don't necessarily think of God anymore as the man in the sky with the white beard, I think of God more now as just this ever present and beautiful and genderless. I don't like to use particularly gendered terms for me, but just kind of this beautiful, ever present energy, and that's palpable in everything and everybody, and is around you and all the times and at all times. And that's kind of been something for me of just understanding that the same relationship I've had with God my entire life, of feeling peace and love and connection.
I like that.
I've never, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I like that. I like how you put that about it being not a specific person, but just the type of, energy and feeling that you have. Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that you said that it wasn't, a gender specific. I enjoy that. I know some people in my life who, when they talk about God, they, some people like to put it as she likes to, look over us, or other people like to put it as he likes to look over us. And I feel like that's the most common thing. It's, not to get into a huge religious debate or anything, but from what I'm hearing here.
I know I don't want to get too into that, but for me, I mean, I talk about it a lot because it is something, it is something that like I haven't really heard a lot of perspectives in the same view as mine that are coming from Christianity and realizing like, you know, prayer always felt like it really worked well for me. And as I've moved into my witchcraft, I believe, you know, it's more about manifestation and your energies and your psycho, you know, the actual synapses of your brain and what what type of energy you're putting out with your perspective and with what your intentions are. That is all manifestation is, and that is what prayer is. That's what I've always done with prayer. And so I believe in prayer. I believe in all of that because I've seen it both in my Christianity and in my witchcraft. And it's this universal thing. I mean, if you look at all religions, like there's prayer, there is manifestation, there are miracles that happen or manipulation of energy or matter. And it's just really interesting to think about because that's kind of what led me to witchcraft. Was it's an eclectic culmination of all of that for me. And it also says I don't have to live within a label, even though calling myself a witch is a label. I'm just a very eclectic believer. I'm a very open believer. And I believe in the validity of all religions in that way, because I think all of the gods and deities that we do confide in and that we do form relationships with are all part of this universal energy and this universal God. And so that's why I think it's given me such peace and such understanding and such a kind perspective towards lots of different views and people's beliefs, because I really genuinely believe they're valid.
Wonderful. I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I know we had mentioned about talking about a paranormal encounter, and we are running a little bit lower on time than I had anticipated.
Sorry.
Oh no. This is not. No, absolutely not. This is you have been absolutely wonderful. What I'd like to do is this. I would like to ask you one last question, and then I would love to be able to have you come back onto the show again, so we can definitely talk about a little bit more about your paranormal encounter. Would that be okay?
I would love that.
Okay, perfect. Sweet. All right. So the last question that I have here then is, because I have all these questions in front of me and I'm like, what am I going to ask? Okay. So, as you mentioned, you are a self-proclaimed witch. So this last question is, has witchcraft allowed you to peek into the veil of the paranormal?
Ooh.
Actually, it's vice versa. The paranormal has always been a part of my life, and that led me to a lot of the questions that led me to witchcraft. Because my first paranormal experience that I still remember to this day very vividly was when I was 8, but I've had plenty before that. they weren't as vivid. And I'd love to talk about that sometime, but I've had paranormal experiences, very detailed ones, my entire life. And that really, a lot of that led me to kind of questioning a lot of the walls that I had been put up or that had been put around me because of Christianity or just because of similar beliefs. And it was the other way around. It led me to my witchcraft for sure. But being a practicing witch has also helped me better understand what I'm seeing and feeling and how to communicate. And it's been this beautiful symbiotic relationship between my paranormal experiences and my witchcraft.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. That is wonderful. Oh my gosh. I don't want to say we have to go, but we are running out of time. But Shanna, I would love to have you come back onto the show and definitely let us hear about your paranormal experiences that you've had. And also something that you've mentioned and other podcasts that you've done is talking about being born with the veil over your eyes. And I wish we had more time to talk about this, but I would love to get more into that as well. Because I had been
It was actually my grandmother.
Oh, your grandmother. Okay.
Oh.
It was her grandmother that was born with the veil over her eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But she did tell me that she knew that I had the gift as well. Yeah.
Oh,
I would love to talk about that too.
Oh, there's so much that we have to cover and we don't have enough time. I'm so sorry. But listen,
this has been great.
Love to have you back on the show
Definitely.
again. We'd love to be able to cover more. And again, thank you so much for telling us about how the paranormal has actually opened your eyes to the veil. That's amazing. So listen, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor for this episode.
Suffering from lack of interest of your average clothing, apparel, and accessories? Does your plain Jane shirt fail to excite you? Not to worry. This is a common occurrence and thankfully can be easily remedied. Cursed creatures. Cursed Creatures has the shockingly appealing apparel and accessories to liven up any night. Bring the excitement in your evenings back from the dead with any of the exciting cursed items from Cursed Creatures. Cursed Creatures has everything you could need to brighten up the dark corners of the cemetery, including monster masks, pins, stickers, patches, and plushies. And be sure not to miss out on the exciting t-shirts they carry at Cursed Creatures. With mummies, vampires, werewolves, and bats, you will find all you need for an evening stroll through the graveyard at Cursed Creatures. Just visit them at cursedcreatures.bigcartel.com. That's cursedcreatures.bigcartel.com.
Well, Shanna, this has been a wonderful episode, and I'm sorry that we have run out of time, and I cannot wait to have you come back onto the show. But getting to know you and allowing our bats and ghouls to not only discover who you are, but also have a better understanding for what it means to practice witchcraft.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys have been such a pleasure to talk to, and I really look forward to coming back on your show.
Oh, I can't wait. That's going to be so much fun.
Thank you.
So, Shanna, before we end this magical episode, can you inform our bats and ghouls where they can get their hands on this Ghoulish Garb merchandise?
Absolutely. You can go to etsy.com/shop/the Ghoulish Garb. That's all one word. And that will be probably the easiest place that you can find. And also contact me if you have any questions at theghoulisgal@gmail.com. You can also contact me through the Etsy shop. I take care of all of our customer service. I'd be happy to speak with you anytime.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, I believe that is all the time we have for today's episode. If you enjoy this episode as much as I have, and I've had a lot of fun on this one, and would like to hear more of this episodes like this, then be sure to tune into any of our previous episodes, which you can find on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now on Amazon Music. That's right, we are on Amazon Music. Also, give a follow on both of our social media pages, Facebook at Pod Paranormal 87, Instagram at Void Podcast 18, and Bats and Ghouls, I have a very special announcement. Into the Void is having a Halloween giveaway. Yes, that's right, Bats and Ghouls, our No Tricks, Just Treats giveaway will be posting very soon. In fact, submissions for a chance to win an amazing gift will begin on October 25th. And this is brought to you by the Ghoulish Garb and Love, Pain, and Stitches. That's right. Yes, Love, Pain, and Stitches has given us a special treat to be able to give our first prize winners. And the Ghoulish Garb, we have 2 treats for our second and third place.
That is cool.
Yes. So for more information, be on the lookout on our Instagram page. That's Instagram at Void Podcast 18. Also, make sure to visit our website at intothevoidpod.com to check out all of our latest in-studio pictures and more. Did you know we have a YouTube channel? That's right. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, Into the Void Podcast. And before I forget, check out our show store on Etsy right now for the first time ever. Into the Void has a Halloween shirt. That's right, a Halloween shirt. You can be the proud owner of our Bats and Ghouls t-shirt for the Halloween season. Now, this is a limited time t-shirt, so when the clock strikes 12 on Halloween night, these shirts will be gone forever. So be sure to grab yours while supplies last. And don't forget, we have mugs, t-shirts, pillows, and more. You can find it all in our store. Just visit Etsy.com and search Into the Void Shop Store. That's Into the Void Shop Store. Lastly, a big thank you to Rene.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode.
No problem.
And I can't wait for everyone to hear your talk about your experience at Disneyland some more.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
No problem.
All right. Well, be sure to join me in the next episode as we welcome a very special mystery guest for our Halloween special. That's right. So be sure to tune into the next episode, and it's also the last episode of the season.
No.
Can you believe it?
Wow.
Oh my goodness. All right, Bats and Ghouls, I have got to go get set up for an exorcism. So until then, I'm G-Man, and I want to thank you for falling with me into the void.